All right, hello YouTube. This is Red Boy here, coming in with a deck profile, and it's going to be the first deck profile on this channel. Um, and I figured, what better way to start my very first deck profile than with my favorite deck, White Forest Azamina. So I'll get right into it. For the main deck, we are running 3 LZ of the White Forest. Um, Best starter in this entire deck. Helps you get into your other White Forest monsters, mainly Sylvie. Next, one Stellar. Um, you really don't need to play 3 of her unless you're playing like a pure like White Forest, like no Azamina, maybe Toy Box. Really good card, but it can be a bit bricky too. Um, if you've already ate up your normal summon, but she doesn't hurt to have in your deck. Next, we got 3 Sylvie. Sylvie's another really great 3 up for this deck. Helps you dig into the deck to get your White Forest spells and traps. Um, then 1 Rusia, another sort of brick. You can cut her and a Stellar out of this deck, and you probably won't miss too much, but they both do help you kind of extend further into your plays. Plus, she can special summon herself and get you a little bit of draw power if you happen to have a White Forest monster on the field. And then we have the bridge card into your Sinful Spoils and even into Azamina stuff because she is both a White Forest and Azamina by name. Elzit Azamina, she can reveal, you can reveal her in hand and special summon a White Forest monster, including herself. And she can help you fuse. Uh, More often than not, you're probably just going to send her off as synchro material because then she helps you get into your Sinful Spoil stuff if she's used as synchro material. Next, for the White Forest spells and traps, we are running 3 Witch of the White Forest. The field spell is pretty much a starter as well. Helps you grab one of your White Forest monsters. For as powerful as this card is, it does place that lock that you can't special summon any dark attribute monsters from the extra deck for the turn. But I have gotten around this card. It really doesn't hinder you if you know what you're doing. Um, and it also gives you added protection with your White Forest monsters that during battle, if they would be destroyed by battle, um, they're not. So it's just a really good card to have overall, and you can send it off for cost for some of your um, White Force monster effects. Next, we're on the One Tails of the White Forest, basically the in archetype Rhoda. Um, well, with the added condition that you have to have like an illusion or spellcaster monster on the field, but basically just grab any White Forest monster. You can also send this off to, like a lot of the other White Forest spells and traps, if they're sent off for cost for a monster effect, they can be set from the graveyard. Then we're on 1 Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. This card's crazy with the Azamina cards. Um, so if you have this card, you can just special summon a Fiend, Illusion, or Spellcaster. But you have to control a Fiend, Illusion, or Spellcaster on the field. Or you can fusion summon um, using monsters from. It's basically a special summon or a fusion spell. But most importantly, it is also a Sinful Spoils and a White Forest card by name, which is really important for your various White Forest Sinful Spoils monsters like Diabell Star, um, as well as your Azamina fusion spells. And then the last card for the White Forest part of this deck is 1 Woes of the White Forest. If you happen to get stopped into your White Forest stuff, and it just helps you kind of extend and play on your opponent's turn, you just go ahead and special summon the White Forest monster from hand or deck, and then you go ahead and just like synchro. Say you had Sylvie, you got stopped, and you happen to have woes. You just like pull out LZ Azamina. You can pull out LZ of the White Forest if you need to kind of keep extending. So it's not too bad of a card. I didn't really play it a whole lot. I never really needed to, but it's just good to have in the deck. Next, we have the Sinful Spoils and Azamina lineup. So we're on one Diabell Star, the Black Witch. Diabell Star is Diabell Star. If you played her with the Snake Eye stuff, you know exactly what this card does. Helps you dig into your deck for setting your Sinful Spoil spells and traps. More often than not, you're going to be setting the one Deception that we run in this deck. And this is your kind of your bridge card into getting your Azamina spells. Because you can add an Azamina card, but this is most likely just going to be grabbing your Hollowed Azamina or Azamina Debtors that we play in this deck. Also, it burns for 1500 and you gain 1500 if your opponent's monster leaves on the field while you have an Azamina monster on your side of the field. Was really big before they had the time rules changed. Next, we have the 3 wanted. I think 3 wanted is mandatory. Helps you grab your Diabell Stars because we play 2 Diabell Star monsters, Black Witch and Vengeance in this deck, and they can grab them from deck or graveyard. Also, its graveyard effect to bottom deck a Sinful Spoils spell and trap and banish this to just draw one. It's pretty crazy. Also, you can play this with the Hollowed Azamina and Azamina Debtors. You know, just chain and start making crazy plays. I've done that several times with this deck. Really nutty. Then we have the one Sinful Spoils of Betrayal, Silvera. There have been plenty of times where like I've hard drawn into this and I've sent it off for cost for Diabell Star Black Witch, and now with this in graveyard, I can just continue doing my plays with Diabell Star. If I try to get stopped, I just banish this to negate that effect. Really good protection card. You can use this. Also works with Diabell Star Vengeance if you want Vengeance to pop something. Then going into the Azamina stuff, because they tie heavily together with the Sinful Spoil stuff, we are on one Queen Azamina. This is another card you could cut, but you could cut this, but it's really good to have. You do get a lot of value out of her. She can be used for fusion material with a fusion or synchro monster and her to make the big Azamina fusion monster. You can use her for like quick synchros into your synchro 12s, like say Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. I've probably gotten a lot of mileage using her because she also counts as a Sinful Spoils card, which is why she's part of the this section here of the deck. You can send her off for cost with Hollowed Azamina, which we play a 1 of in this deck, as well as Debtors. They both have the fusion effects where you round down after you reveal your Azamina fusion monsters. You round down the nearest 4 levels, and you just send off for every 4 levels a Sinful Spoils card, and you fusion summon them out. Hollowed Azamina is probably a tad bit better than Debtors, because you can just bounce back one of your Azamina monsters, whether it's like LZ Azamina, Movers Liago, Sylvia, and you just add this back to the hand and kind of continue with your plays. I usually pair it with Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, kind of chaining together a fusion and synchro to make Saints, as well as revealing Ilya Sylvia, so you know I'm getting added value out of that. Debtors is really good. It could have been a really broken card. However, with the clause of you can only use one debtor's effect that turn, um, with its graveyard effect being able to banish itself to Monster Reborn and Azamina monster in graveyard. But if you go for the fusion effect, you won't be able to use the graveyard effect. But this is a quick play, so if you happen to get stopped by the like Witch of the White Forest field spell, you can always set this and then just start playing on your opponent's turn, which I have done. Um, really nutty card. Next into the 4 card standard Diabell package, we are on one White Witch, uh, one Vengeance, Filia Diabell, and then Curse Diabell. Um, Pretty mandatory for this build at this point. She's a White Forest monster. In text, you definitely need her because she can Foolish Burial or Foolish Burial Goods, a Sinful Spoils or Diabell card. Sharing the added, summoning condition of sending off a spell and trap in your hand or on the field. You could pitch like Tails. You could pitch the Witch of the White Forest field spell, get her out. Um, and normally when you do that, you're going to be sending Curse of Diabell, and Curse has got some great utility to it. If you happen to have, 2 or more Diabell monsters, and while this was set, you activate it, and you just go ahead and send target card on your side of the field or monster on your side of the field to the graveyard, and you just basically nuke your opponent's entire board. A lot of the time, though, like nine times out of 10, you're going to be sending this off to the graveyard because then it's being sent to the graveyard. The effect will let you grab a Diabell spell or trap from deck. Filia Diabell is going to let you then grab a level 8 or higher Diabell monster from deck. Which you're going to be grabbing Vengeance, and then Diabell Star Vengeance is your level 8 Diabell Star monster or Diabell monster, depending on what cards you're going to have on the field. And she's also a Sinful Spoils card as well. Again, extra use, added value for your Azamina spell cards for fusion plays. Really powerful card, and is also another reason why I play in the extra deck Psychic End Punisher. There have been times, and when I get to the extra deck, there have been times where I've had Diabell Star Black Witch on the field, bounce back one of my level 4 tuner White Forest monsters, and just synchroed into making Psychic End Punisher, using Diabell Star Vengeance's effects, cutting my life points in half, and just making towers and powerful monsters, and then like I'm down 4,000. Psychic End Punisher on battle phase is going to gain that 4,000. So now all of a sudden you're looking at a really hard unoutable 7,500 attack monster, which is Psychic End Punisher. Really, really nutty card to utilize kind of with your life points as well. She kind of has a shared effect with Diabell, Queen of the White Forest, where they can kind of both cheat out synchro monsters, illusion or spellcasters, where hers is more specific to illusion or spellcaster synchro monsters, and then Diabell, Queen of the White Forest, is more of the level 7 or lower synchro tuners. But they both have access to your extra deck, whether you need to get out Poplar of the White Forest or Silvera. But really good cards to have. Definitely necessary to help this deck kind of keep going forward. And then Diabellese the White Witch has that added protection with the monsters I control can't be destroyed by my opponent's card effects while I have 2 or more Diabell monsters. And in this deck we have four Diabell names. We got Diabellese White Witch, Diabell Star Black Witch, Vengeance, and then Queen of the White Forest. So really, really hard to kind of out your board, or at least some of your monsters. I mean, I think this is a great deck um, overall, and with Droll going to 2, kind of gains a little bit more power. But I think the reason for that being having Droll at 2 kind of keeps the deck in check a little bit. I don't like Droll, but it's okay. We're gonna go into the non-engine stuff. So we have 3 Ash Blossom, because Ash Blossom is Ash Blossom. I want to stop my opponent from um, adding stuff from their deck if I can. Um, 1 effect Veiler, because it is a Resilia Sinister Soul of the White Forest target if need be, because she can allow you to grab a light spellcaster monster. And then I'm running Crossout Designator, and then I have Crossout Target of Droll and Lockbird, as well as Nibiru. Really good cards to have. I can extend past Nibiru, but Droll really shuts down this deck. I've kind of gotten around it a little bit, but not as much as I would hope. But again, my Crossout targets. Then we're on 1 Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is Called by the Grave. If I need to stop Droll, I need to stop Ash, whatever. There it is. And then the 1 Crossout for my Crossout targets of Nibiru. I mean, you can use it for Ash or whatever, but I got my hand trap line up, so I can just use them for like Ash if necessary. 3 Forbidden Droplet. This deck can pay the cost for Droplet and not get hurt by it. And it's really good to kind of just ruin your opponent's day. And then finally we have 3 Imperm, because Imperm is Imperm. And this deck also has a lot of versatility and malleability to kind of send off your spells and traps, with Diabell, Queen of the White Forest, being able to also retrieve those from the graveyard on her Synchro Summon. We're now going to go ahead and pivot to the extra deck, and we're playing Resilia, Silvera, Diabell, Queen of the White Forest, Poplar of the White Forest, nutty card, and Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, also a nutty card. It's pretty much like Flamberge on crack. Resilia, lot of great uses for her. She's who you can use to like send off, say, like Tales of the White Forest if you haven't used Tales yet. To grab an effect Veiler, or if you need to grab one of your other White Forest monsters, or it's just a White Forest, you just grab a White Forest card. There's like 1,001 different ways to grab a White Forest card or even a monster, which is why I don't really play Thrust in the main deck. Play it in the side, but I don't really play it in the main deck because, again, you have 1,001 different ways to grab your White Forest stuff, as well as your Sinful Spoils cards. Silvera, really, really powerful to get on your opponent's side of the field. Basically, just a one-sided Book of Moon or one-sided Book of Eclipse. Without the added effect of Eclipse, then making your opponent flip all their monsters face back up, and then the draw stuff. So basically, just shut down your opponent's side of the field with her. Can also be cheated out using Diabell, Queen of the White Forest, or Vengeance, if need be. Diabell, powerful card. Like I said, she can help you get out Poplar, Silvera, and Resilia. All you got to do is just send a spell and trap from your field to get any one of these 4 out. Poplar is really good. They intended to work with Diabell Star Vengeance to quick synchro into Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, which I said is like Flamberge on crack. It's got the quick effect to back row one of your opponent's monsters as a continuous spell, and during the battle phase, you can quick effect pop one of their monsters, one of the continuous spells. But it does have a fair lock on it that it can't use that effect the next turn. But It's just really powerful, 3K beat stick. Um, but Diabelle, you do get a lot of mileage out of her if you had to, say, discard one of your imperms or like one of your necessary spells. On her synchro summon, she can grab that from the graveyard. Like it's a spell or a trap. So that is the White Forest stuff. And now the Azamina, we are on one Muricielago, one Ilia Sylvia, one Mo Regina, one Saint Azamina, one big Azamina, and then Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. Doom Dragon's kind of like it's kind of essentially just another Flamberge, which you can get out off of Poplar's effect, because if Poplar's on the field and then I have any White Forest, any of like the main deck White Forest monsters, I can back row 2 of them, and then this can be specialed out by sending 2 monsters that are treated as continuous spells on my side of the field for Doom Dragon. Basically, just back rows one of my opponent's monsters. But we are on the Muricielago, helps me get a Sinful Spoils card on its fusion summon. Generally, she's also what I use for fusion material off of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, along with Diabelle, Queen of the White Forest, to make Saint Azamina. Ilia Sylvia, your Omni Negate, really powerful card. A lot of the times, too, if I haven't needed to use Sylvia and I do manage to get Poplar out, I will most likely, a lot of the time, will just quick synchro on my opponent's turn, make Chaos Angel, just essentially just ruin my opponent's day. And then they have the added effects where, like, Muricielago just debuffs my opponent's monster's attacks by their attack and defense by 500 for each Azamina monster I control. And then Ilia Sylvia does the added effect, the on-field effect of doubling any sort of battle damage, with the exception of her that my Azamina monsters will do. And then we have Azamina Mo Regina. She's usually who I cheat out off of Saint Azamina's quick effects. And she's powerful. She can special summon or Monster Reborn an illusion monster from graveyard. It is once per turn, but it's also not a quick effect. Otherwise, she probably might be one of the more broken cards for the extra deck. But she does have a really good pop 2 if an Azamina or Sinful Spoils card happens to activate. You just go new chain Azamina Mo Regina, pop 2. If my opponent lets my Azamina or Sinful Spoils effects resolve. Saint Azamina, probably the most broken card in the extra deck. Nasty 4,000 defense Floodgate. My opponent cannot target anything on their side of the field, their graveyard or banishment, and then she can't be targeted. And then my opponent will take any sort of battle damage that I would have taken. So it kind of has that. She kind of has that U-Bell battle damage reflect. Also, if my opponent cannot get rid of this by turn 3, they're most likely gonna lose. For that being with Azamina, I can kaiju this along with an opponent's monster and then make her, or I can just hard fusion summon using Queen Azamina and one of my synchro like White Forest monsters or one of the Azamina monsters to fusion into Azamina. But if Regina is left unchecked, more likely than not, I'm usually just going to bring back Saint while she's on the field. She effectively shuts down my opponent's hand traps because they cannot activate monster effects of monsters that have 0 attack, which shuts down like Effect Veiler. I believe Droll is also part of that too. Yeah, effectively shuts down Droll. All the yokai Ghost Girls, the Ash Blossoms, Ghost Mourners, they can't activate their effects. And she's 4,000, 4,000. The stat line's really crazy. and she can't be destroyed by card effects either. So more likely than not, if Azamina and Ilya Sylvia are on the field, you're pretty much going to lose the game because I'm going to be doubling any sort of battle damage they're going to take off of Azamina monsters, and if their board's wide open, that's game. um, and then for the rest of the extra deck, we have, which is somewhat malleable, but it works for me. Guardian Chimera, really great card. Just make sure you have your fusion materials where they need to be. 2 from the hand, 1 from the field. 1 from the field, 2 from the hand. Make sure they're 3 different monster names. That way you can get your pop 2, draw 1, or draw 2, pop 1. Just go ahead and fusion summon this with Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Really good card to have. I could cut this for Duration, Synchro monster if I needed to. You don't really necessarily need this, and this doesn't really pop up too often for me, but it has, which is why I left it in the deck. Chaos Angel, because Chaos Angel is really gross and hard to out. And using Poplar and one of the lower level 6 Azamina monsters, quick synchro into Chaos Angel, and now your opponent's having a really tough time with handling my board. And it also gives me the added protection with the Azamina and White Forest extra deck monsters with the added protection Chaos Angel gives them, as well as also getting that banish effects. Psychic End Punisher, really gross card. Like I said earlier, leaving Diabellstar Black Witch and using even Poplar over the White Forest or the level 4 tuners, make that, and then having Diabellstar Vengeance to half my life points to pop something. All of a sudden, this is at 7,500, and you're going to have a really tough time dealing with this card. More than likely than not, this is pretty much game, because that's also a permanent gain for the battle phase, as well as just me being able to deduct life points just to go ahead and target banish. And then last but not least, SP Little Knight. SP is SP, for spot removal, help me dodge things if I need to. Just really good utility card to have in your back pocket, just to kind of help you dodge some things, and then just kind of remove hard to out monsters on your opponent's field that you can out with SP. And for the side deck, what's really worked for me is that I'm running 3 Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell's really good in this format for stopping my opponent's graveyard effects. 3 Fuwas. Like I said, this deck's really, really good at being able to get its own cards out, so I really don't need to just keep drawing on my opponent's turn. Especially since the deck hard loses to Droll. I don't expect my opponent to kind of Droll themselves, but crazy things have happened. But I really don't need to see Droll in the main deck on the first round. We have 1 Sinful Spoils of Subversion, Snake Eye, just a free back row my opponent's monster, and it's also Sinful Spoils name. For the hollowed, not hollowed, but just the Azamina fusion spells. Just a good card to have. Really ruin my opponent's day. Just the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, back row hate, especially if I'm back rowing my opponent's monsters, because now they're continuous spells, and guess what? Now they're in the graveyard. 2 Thrust and a Talent. I don't necessarily see these cards come up a whole lot for me. Like I said, this deck has really good ways of getting digging into itself. It's good to have, though, just in case I do get drolled and I need to kind of get into my deck. Or maybe just steal an opponent's monster, maybe just, send one back. But it just helps extend, punishing them for playing hand traps. One Ultimate Slayer as a thrust target with with the because we play fusions, we play synchros, we play links. If I need to send something back, I can. If I don't really need SP and they have like a link monster I need to deal with, just send it back off of Ultimate Slayer. Also, like I said, a thrust target. I only play one of these. If I'm dealing with Xyz monsters, I might have might be some trouble in River City, but I don't really see Ultimate Slayer coming up too often for me, but it's there to have. The one Morian. Morian is just a good, Book of Moon. An archetype Book of Moon, also Sinful Spoils by name, and a thrust target. One Black Goat Laughs. Again, thrust target. Really good graveyard effects if I need to shut down my opponent's stuff. Maybe get around roll. And then funny card, bye-bye damage. Just kind of helps me survive, a turn. One of my monsters attacks, I just, can't be destroyed by battle. And any battle damage my opponent's going to take, they're going to double it. It's just basically like having the combination of Ilya Sylvia and Azamina on field. Basically just deflect, also a thrust target. Have yet to actually use this card, but it's good to have considering how hard this deck folds to droll. So, yeah, just a good card to have. I think it's pretty funny to have because who's really going to expect it? So, and that is the deck profile for White Forest Azamina that I like to run, that I feel is comfortable to run. There have been times where like I just go combo wombo on my opponent, and that's all she wrote. I think it's really good with Droll being at 2. It gains a little bit of extra power, but I think, again, Droll being at 2 still kind of keeps this deck in check, because left unchecked like that with Droll being pretty much one of the few hand traps to kind of shut this deck down effectively. It is what it is. Maybe one day we'll get to banning Droll completely, or at least limiting it to 1. But for the most part, this deck's super malleable. People can play it with Foolish Burial Goods if they need to kind of get into the Diabell package. I don't think it's necessary, just with how easy it is to kind of just get into your White Forest and your Sinful Spoils cards. Plus, it just makes it really easy if you want to play like a cross-out package. But this deck works for me. I know inside and out, but that is the deck profile. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Bye.